A poor food seller cared for a woman with no memory. One day a count came looking for her. Before we begin this beautiful period romance story, tell me in the comments where you're listening from. I love knowing where you're joining me from. The day had been long, but in Marseille the streets rarely showed mercy to those who were tired. Amélie stirred the last of the soup in the dented pot, listening to the square around her settle into its evening rhythm. Voices were softer now. The fishermen had gone, leaving the smell of salt and smoke. The shopkeepers were closing shutters. Children ran past, chasing one another, their footsteps fading toward the narrow alleys. She ladled a portion for the old man who came every night. "The usual, monsieur?" she asked. "If your usual is hot and honest, then yes," he replied, smiling with the few teeth he had left. She smiled back and passed him the steaming bowl with a chunk of bread. Coins clinked into her hand, light and familiar. She slipped them into her apron and did not bother counting. She already knew it was not enough. A woman in a dark shawl stepped forward next. "Any left for me, Amélie?" she said. "My little ones are waiting." "I always save some for you," Amélie answered. "Take this and share, and if anyone complains, send them to me." "You are too kind," the woman murmured. "You will spoil them." "It is only soup," Amélie said. "If I had sweets, then I would be dangerous." They both laughed, a quick, tired sound. The woman hurried away and the square grew thinner, the crowd melting into doorways and side streets. A wind came in from the port, sharp and damp. Amélie rubbed her arms through the worn sleeves of her dress. She lifted the pot, testing its weight. 1 or 2 bowls left at most. She could sell them or keep them for herself. The thought of a full bowl was tempting, but she imagined the landlady's face if rent came late again. Coins were more filling than soup in the long run. A voice reached her from a few stalls away. "Busy tonight, Amélie?" It was Jacques, the fruit seller, already covering his apples with a bit of cloth. "Busy enough," she said. "How about you?" "If the day had been better, I would be closing with a song," he replied. "Instead, I'm closing with a prayer." "At least you still have apples to pray over," she teased. "All I have is this pot." He tilted his head toward it. "Then may it become as light as your worries, and your purse as heavy as my unsold fruit." "Keep your unsold fruit," she said, shaking her head. "I do not want your troubles. I have my own." They traded a last smile, the kind shared between people who know they will see each other again in the morning, and Jacques wheeled his cart away. The light faded, turning the stone of the square a dull gray. The street lamps had not yet been lit. The stalls emptied one by one until Amélie stood nearly alone, her stall a small island of warmth in the growing chill. She sold one final bowl to a young man who said he had missed dinner at home, then wiped her ladle clean and set it aside. The pot was almost empty now. That would have to be enough. She began to pack up, stacking bowls, wrapping bread, wiping the counter down with a damp cloth. Her breath misted in the air. She stamped her feet once or twice to wake them. As she reached for the lantern hanging at the corner of her stall, she noticed a shape near the fountain. At first she thought it was a statue, some dark column that had escaped her notice before. Then the wind lifted a piece of fabric, and she realized it was a woman. She stood very still, almost unnaturally so, her posture straight, her hands hanging at her sides. Amélie frowned. People did not stand like that in this square. Not at this hour. She hesitated, fingers tightening on the lantern handle. It would be easier to finish, to go home, to let the city decide what to do with one more lost soul. But the woman did not move. "Just a moment," Amélie muttered to herself. She lifted the lantern free and stepped out from behind the stall. As she crossed the square, the lantern light fell over the stranger. Her dress was not like the others in Marseille's poorer streets. The fabric was fine, even under the dust. The cut was elegant, the sort a dressmaker would copy from a fashion plate in a newspaper. A small hat sat crooked on her head, the ribbon half untied. Her gloved hands were bare at the fingertips where the fabric had frayed. All of that could have been explained by time and misfortune. What could not be explained was her face. She was not old, perhaps a little older than Amélie, perhaps not. Her skin was pale under the dirt. Her eyes, a clear, startled grey, stared at nothing in particular. She looked like a person who had been turned to stone mid-thought. Amélie stopped a few steps away. "Bonsoir," she called gently. "The square is closing. Are you waiting for someone?" The woman's gaze shifted, slow and uncertain, until it found the light and then Amélie's face. For a heartbeat there was nothing, then a flicker of confusion, almost panic. She began. Her voice was soft but rough with disuse. I do not know. You do not know if you are waiting? Amélie asked. I do not know anything, the woman said. The words came out broken, as if each one cost her effort. Amélie took another step closer, lantern held high. Do you live nearby? She asked. Did you lose your way? I can help you find your street. The woman swallowed. Her throat worked. She looked around her at the fountain, the empty stalls, the darkening sky. I do not know this place, she whispered. How did I come here? She sounded as if she were asking the air rather than Amélie. What is your name? Amélie asked. The woman's eyes closed briefly, as if the question hurt. I do not know that either. Amélie's first impulse was disbelief. How could someone forget their own name? But the woman's trembling hands and the thin sheen of sweat on her brow did not look like deceit. She lowered the lantern a little and softened her tone. Sit down, she said. You look as if you will fall. The fountain ledge is there. Come. She did not wait for an answer. She simply stepped forward and placed a steadying hand under the woman's arm. The fabric was cold and smoother than anything Amélie owned. The stranger allowed herself to be guided. She moved stiffly, like someone waking from a long sleep, and sat on the stone edge of the fountain. Her back remained straight, but her shoulders sagged. Breathe, Amélie said softly. Start with that. In and out. There, see? You can do that. The woman gave a faint, unsteady laugh that sounded more like a sob. I must seem very foolish, she said. You seem very tired, Amélie replied. That is not foolish. Have you eaten? The woman looked at her hands, as if the answer might be written there. I do not remember, she admitted. Then you will eat, Amélie decided. One thing at a time. She hurried back to her stall, relit the lamp and scraped the last of the soup into a bowl. It was not much, but it was hot. She tore a piece of bread, hesitated, then added a second piece. She would make do. When she returned, the stranger had not moved. She still sat rigidly, eyes fixed on some distant point. Here, Amélie said, placing the bowl in her hands. Careful, it is hot. The woman looked down at it, as if she had never seen soup before. Her fingers tightened around the bowl and she lifted it to her lips with a careful, practiced movement. She blew on it once, gently, then sipped. The change was immediate. Warmth touched her cheeks. Her shoulders eased a fraction. Her eyes closed. She took another sip, then another. You have cooked this? She asked. Yes, Amélie replied. It is what I do. I sell it, usually. Do not worry. I will not ask for payment from someone who does not even know her own name. That would be a very difficult debt to collect, the woman murmured, a shaky trace of humor appearing. How would you find me again? Exactly, Amélie said. So I will simply trust that if you ever become rich, you will remember the soup seller in Marseille who fed you once. If I ever become rich, I will buy every pot of soup you make, the woman said. Amélie waved a hand. Eat first, she said. Make promises later. The woman obeyed. She ate slowly, like someone accustomed to taking small, careful bites. She did not slurp. She did not hunch over the bowl. Even sitting on the cold stone of a public fountain, there was something refined in her movements. Amélie noticed, but did not comment. She had seen women of means from afar, stepping out of carriages, passing through markets with their gloves and parasols. This stranger had the same quiet grace, even with dust on her hem and a tear on her glove. When the bowl was empty, the woman looked at it as if surprised. I did not think I was hungry, she said softly. You were more than hungry, Amélie replied. You were lost. The stomach hides when the heart is frightened. The stranger lifted her gaze. I have troubled you, she said. You had closed your stall. You must go home, and leave you sitting here alone, Amélie asked. In the dark? The woman opened her mouth, then closed it again. Her eyes shone wetly in the lantern light. I do not know where home is, she said. The words hung between them, thin and helpless. Amélie looked around the square. The last stalls were gone. Only a few figures passed at the edges, heads down. The fountain burbled quietly. The night was settling in for good. What do you remember? She asked gently. Anything at all? A street? A name? A carriage? A river? The woman pressed a hand to her temple, fingers digging into her hair. There is something, she whispered. A road. The air is cooler. I am in a carriage. The wheels are moving. I am thinking something important. I feel trapped. I open the door. Now as I ask someone to stop, I am afraid, but I do not know what of. Then, she exhaled a long, shaky breath. Then nothing. Only cold air. And this square. And you. She looked at Amélie as if she were the only solid object left in the world. Amélie's heart gave a small, reluctant ache. This was not a problem she knew how to solve. She could mend torn sleeves and stretch soup and argue with landlords. She could not repair a mind. Perhaps you fell, she said slowly. Perhaps you struck your head. That happens sometimes, I have heard of it. Do people forget everything? The woman asked. I do not know, Amélie answered honestly. I am not a doctor. I only know that you cannot sit here all night. And what would you have me do? The woman said with a sad, puzzled smile. I cannot walk toward a home I do not remember. You can walk with me, Amélie replied. The words came out before she had fully thought them through, but once spoken, they felt right. The woman blinked. With you, she repeated. I have a room, Amélie said. It is not large. It is not fine. But the roof does not leak when it rains, and there is a bed. Sometimes I share it with my basket of bread if I have leftovers. Tonight I suppose I could share it with you instead. I cannot impose, the woman protested, though there was a timid hope in her voice. You do not know who I am. I could be anyone. You could, Amélie agreed. But I have watched you drink my soup as if it were gold. You thanked me for it without being asked. You speak like someone who has had many choices in her life. Now you have none. If I leave you, who will help you choose anything at all? The woman looked down at her hands. I have nothing to give you, she whispered. No name, no past, no promise of repayment. You can give me one thing, Amélie said. You can stand up and walk beside me. I do not like walking home alone at night. It makes me feel small. If you come, I will feel less so. You see, I gain something. The woman lifted her gaze again. There was a tiny spark of amusement. You bargain very cleverly, Mademoiselle Soup-Seller, she said. You bargain badly, madame. Whoever you are, Amélie replied. You should pretend to be very dangerous so that I beg you not to come with me. Instead, you sit there and tell me you are harmless. It makes my choice very easy. For the first time, the stranger gave a real smile, faint but genuine. Very well, she said. I will walk with you. But you must call me something. I cannot answer to whoever you are all night. Amélie hesitated, then shrugged lightly. What name would you like? She asked. The woman considered, then shook her head. It should be yours, she said. If you found me, you may name me. Amélie looked at her, at the pale face, the grey eyes, the dust on fine fabric. A name rose to her lips, simple and familiar. Marie, she said. You look like a Marie. Marie, the woman repeated softly, testing it on her tongue. Yes, for tonight, I can be Marie. For as many nights as needed, Amélie said, until you remember if you have another. She offered her hand. Come, Marie, before I freeze to the ground. Marie took it. Her grip was cool but steady. She stood, her dress brushing against Amélie's worn skirt, a quiet meeting of two very different worlds. They walked back to the stall first. Amélie moved quickly, packing the remaining things with practiced motions. She set the empty pot on the cart, tied down the crate with the bowls, and hung the lantern on the hook at the front. Marie watched, holding herself straight through the wind tugged at her hat. You do all this alone every night? She asked. Yes, Amélie said. And you push this cart through the streets? Yes. Is it not heavy? It is less heavy when I do not think about it, Amélie replied. If I start to complain, the wheels will hear me and stop turning. Marie smiled again, that shy, tentative smile that seemed unused to its own existence. May I help? She asked. I'm not certain I will be useful, but I can at least try. If you wish, Amélie said, you may hold the lantern. That is the most important job. If you let it fall, we will walk into walls. I shall guard it with my life, Marie said solemnly. Perhaps guard it with your hands instead, Amélie answered. I do not want anything to happen to your life either. They set off. The cart rattled over the uneven stones as they left the square and turned into a narrower street. The lamps here were few and weak. The lantern cast a small circle of light around their feet. So, Marie said after a moment. "Who are you, besides a soup seller and a giver of names?" "I am Amélie Laurent," she said. "I was born in a village that no one remembers. I came here when I was little. My parents are gone. I had a brother, but he went north to work on the railways. I have not heard from him in some time, that is all. It is not much of a story." "It is more than mine," Marie said quietly. "Yours sounds very rich compared to a blank page." "A blank page can be written on," Amélie said. "Perhaps yours will be filled again one day." "And if I do not like what is written there?" Marie asked. "Then we will tear out the pages we do not like and start a new book," Amélie replied. She said it lightly, but she saw the way Marie turned her head at the words, as if they touched something deep. They walked in silence for a while, listening to the distant murmurs from open windows, the barking of a dog, the drip of water from a gutter. The city at night was different from the city by day. It seemed closer, more intimate, as if it whispered secrets only to those still awake. At last, they reached the building where Amélie rented her room. It was narrow and rather tired-looking, but it stood firm, its stones warmed by many years of lives within. She set the brake on the cart and began to unload. "You live here?" Marie asked. "Yes," Amélie said. "On the second floor. The stairs creak, but they hold." She carried the pot in one hand and a bundle of cloth in the other. "Come," she added, "do not look so doubtful. It is not a palace, but it does its best." "I am sure it is wonderful," Marie said quickly. "I am only nervous. I do not wish to bring you trouble." "Yes, yes," Amélie said. "You have told me this already. If trouble knocks, we will give it soup and send it on its way. Now, up." They climbed the stairs, each step complaining softly. At the top, Amélie fumbled for her key, opened the door and pushed it wide. The room was small, with a low ceiling and a single window. A narrow bed stood against one wall, neatly made. A small table and two mismatched chairs filled the corner near the window. Shelves held a few dishes, a pot and a folded cloth. It was simple, but it was clean. Marie stepped inside cautiously, as if afraid to disturb the air. "It is cozy," she said after a moment, as if searching for the right word. "It is mine," Amélie said. "That is what matters. Set the lantern there on the table." Marie obeyed, placing the lantern carefully in the center. Light filled the room, softening the edges. "You must be exhausted," Amélie said. "Sit. No, do not argue. You have walked enough without knowing where you were going. At least now you have arrived somewhere." She set the pot down, hung her shawl on a peg, and moved around the room with quick, efficient motions. She pulled a folded nightdress from a small chest, and then paused, glancing sideways at Marie. "I do not suppose you have anything else to wear," she said. Marie looked down at her dress. "It seems this is all I own," she said softly. "At least, all I know of." "It will do for tonight," Amélie replied. "We will worry about washing and mending tomorrow. For now you can rest as you are. The bed is small, but we will fit. I have done more difficult things." "I cannot take your bed," Marie protested. "If you sleep on the floor, I will feel like a cruel landlady," Amélie said. "I do not wish to resemble mine in any way. We will share. It is no great tragedy." "You are certain?" Marie asked. "Yes," Amélie said firmly. "Now, I am going to put water to warm for washing. If you wish to rinse your hands and face, you may. It helps the day slide off." Marie watched her for a moment, then nodded. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for all of this. I would thank you properly if I knew who I was." "You are Marie," Amélie said. "For now that is enough." They washed as best they could, laughing once when Marie almost dropped the basin, surprised by her own clumsiness. "I feel like a child learning everything for the first time," she said. "Children are allowed to be afraid and make mistakes," Amélie replied. "Perhaps it will be good for you." When the light outside the window had faded completely, and only the lantern remained, they settled into bed. It was indeed narrow, and their shoulders touched. Marie lay stiffly at first, as if worried she might invade Amélie's space. "If you fall off, it will be your own fault," Amélie muttered sleepily. "I will not wake up to catch you." "I will do my best to remain in one piece," Marie answered, her voice a quiet smile in the dark. Silence fell. The lantern flickered, then went out when its oil ran low. The room dipped into soft shadow. Amélie's body relaxed into the mattress. She listened to the rhythm of Marie's breathing beside her, at first fast and uneven, then slower, calmer. The warmth of another human so close was strange but not unpleasant. It had been a long time since she had shared a bed with anyone for comfort rather than necessity. She closed her eyes, thinking of coins and rent and the next day's soup, but her thoughts drifted toward the woman beside her. Who was she? Where had she come from? Who had let her wander into the night, lost and terrified? Sleep slipped over her before she could answer any of those questions. She did not know how long she slept before a sound pulled her back to the surface. At first, she thought it was the wind. Then she realized it was a voice, very close, barely more than a breath. "No," the voice whispered. "Please, no." Amélie opened her eyes. The room was dark, but she could make out Marie's shape beside her. The woman was trembling, her hands clutching the blanket. Her breaths came short and sharp. "Marie," Amélie whispered, "wake up. It is only a dream." Marie did not wake. Her eyes remained closed, her brows drawn in pain. She turned her head from side to side, as if trying to escape something unseen. "Please," she whispered again. "Do not make me. I cannot. Please." Amélie reached out and took her hand, squeezing gently. "You are safe," she said. "You are here. No one is hurting you." Marie's fingers tightened around hers with surprising strength. Then she spoke one more word, clear and filled with fear, as if that single name held the answer to everything she dreaded. "Henri, please. No. Henri. Please. No." The name hung in the dark like a door half open. Amélie held Marie's hand tighter. "Wake up," she whispered. "You are here. You are safe." Marie shuddered once, then twice, as if the sound of the voice in the room had reached her across a great distance. Her eyes opened suddenly. They were wide and unfocused, reflecting the faint light creeping through the window. "What?" she breathed. "Where?" "In my room," Amélie said softly. "In Marseille. Remember, soup cellar, creaking stairs, very small bed." Marie blinked. Her gaze moved around the dim shapes, then settled on Amélie's face. "Yes," she murmured. "Yes, I remember. I was somewhere else." "You were dreaming," Amélie said. "You called out. You sounded afraid." Marie frowned. "I did?" she asked. "I do not remember the dream. I remember only a shadow, and cold, and a name." "You said a name," Amélie said. "Henri. Do you know anyone called Henri?" Marie's face tightened. She searched her mind like someone looking through a drawer that ought to be full and finding only dust. "No," she said at last. "It feels close, like a word on the tip of my tongue. But when I try to grasp it, it disappears. I am sorry." "Do not apologize," Amélie replied. "You are not required to know things in your sleep. It does not seem a very reasonable rule." Despite the tension in her jaw, Marie gave a small, shaky smile. "Does the name mean anything to you?" she asked. "To me?" Amélie shook her head. "Henri is a common enough name. I have served soup to at least 3 Henris this month, but none of them have followed me into my dreams." "Perhaps I borrowed one," Marie said, trying for lightness. "I will return it when I can." "You may keep it for now," Amélie answered. "If it wishes to be returned, it will complain loudly." They lay there for a moment, still holding hands. Outside, the city was quiet, the kind of quiet that comes just before dawn, when even the night seems weary. "Try to sleep again," Amélie said. "You need rest." "I am afraid to," Marie admitted. If it returns, I will still be here," Amélie said. "You can shout at Henri and wake me up again. Between the two of us, we will frighten him away." "You are very brave," Marie murmured. "No," Amélie said. "Just stubborn. It is cheaper than courage." This time, when Marie closed her eyes, her grip on Amélie's hand remained firm. Her breathing steadied slowly. Amélie stayed awake a little longer, listening, until her own eyes grew heavy and sleep folded over them both. Morning arrived with a pale light and the far-off clatter of carts. Amélie woke to stiffness in her shoulder and the weight of someone's hair tickling her cheek. For a moment, she did not remember why. Then she felt the warmth pressed against her arm and remembered everything at once. Marie was still asleep, her face turned toward Amélie, her hand loosely resting on the blanket between them. In sleep she looked younger, less troubled. Amélie slipped carefully out of bed, trying not to jostle her. She washed her face in cold water, tied her hair back, and began to move through her morning routine. The pot, the bread, the coins hidden in the small wooden box. She counted them quickly. Enough to buy ingredients for another day. Barely. She glanced at the bed. There was another mouth to feed now. Another person relying on her. "You should be used to that," she muttered to herself. "You have been feeding half the square for years." As she wrapped the bread, she heard a rustle. She turned to see Marie pushing herself upright, blinking at the room as if she had arrived there by magic. "Good morning," Amélie said. "You have survived the night. That is a good start." Marie touched her head lightly. "I did not dream again," she said. "Or if I did, I do not remember it. That feels like a mercy." "Good," Amélie replied. "We have enough mysteries for one day. I do not need to add dreams to the list. Are you hungry?" "Yes," Marie said, a little surprised. "Very." Amélie cut a piece of yesterday's bread, spread it with a thin layer of soft cheese, and passed it to her. "It is not as fine as the breads in the windows of the good bakeries," she said, "but it will not betray you." Marie accepted it with both hands. "If this is your idea of not fine, then I fear I was very spoiled before," she said, biting into it. "It is delicious." "Then your tastes have improved," Amélie answered. "I must go down soon. The square will want its soup. Will you stay here? It might be safer." Marie hesitated. "Safe," she said slowly. "I do not know if I like that word. It sounds like being kept in a box." "And what would you prefer?" Amélie asked, amused. "To be useful," Marie replied. "If I sit here all day, I will think only of what I do not know. If I go with you, perhaps I can do something with my hands, while my mind tries to remember itself." Amélie studied her. "You wish to help at the stall?" she asked. "Yes," Marie said. "If you will have me. I know nothing about soup, but I can learn." "You know everything about eating it," Amélie said. "That is a good beginning." Marie laughed softly. "I can carry things," she added. "I am stronger than I look." "You are used to being served, not serving," Amélie said, half teasing, half testing. Something flickered in Marie's eyes. "Yes," she admitted. "At least I think so. I am too comfortable with plates handed to me, too familiar with doors opened by others. It does not feel right anymore." Amélie looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. "Very well," she said. "You may come, but if anyone asks who you are, we will keep the story simple. You are Marie, a friend who is helping me. If we start adding lost memories and strange dreams, people will start crossing themselves when we pass." "I will follow your lead," Marie said. "I seem to be good at following." "Then today you will learn to stand beside," Amélie answered. "Come, the cart is heavy. If you wish to be useful, this is your chance." They went down the stairs together. Amélie pushed the cart while Marie walked beside her, steadying the lantern and occasionally placing a hand on the wood to help. "Is it always like this?" Marie asked as they turned into the broader street. "Every morning?" "Every morning," Amélie said. "Every day. I buy vegetables, bones, whatever I can afford. I cook, I push, I sell, then I count, then I sleep, then I do it again." "And you never tire of it?" Marie asked. "I'm often tired," Amélie said, "but that is not the same thing." The square was already beginning to fill when they arrived. Stalls appeared like small islands in a growing sea of people. Voices rose and mingled. The smell of fish, bread, and damp stone filled the air. Amélie set the cart in its usual place, near the fountain's edge. She lit the stove under the pot and lifted the lid. Steam rose, carrying the scent of last night's broth, which she would stretch today with fresh ingredients. Marie watched every movement with close attention. "What can I do?" she asked. "You can slice the bread," Amélie said, handing her a small knife and a loaf. "Not too thick, not too thin. Try to make each piece look like the others, or people will fight over the fat slices." Marie took the knife delicately, like someone holding an unfamiliar tool. She set the loaf on the wooden board and hesitated. "Is something wrong?" Amélie asked. "I think I have never cut bread in my life," Marie said, half embarrassed, half astonished. "At least, I do not remember doing so." "There is a first time for everything," Amélie said. "Just watch your fingers. Blood does not improve the flavor." Marie nodded and began. Her first slice was crooked, thick at one end, thin at the other. The second was better. The third was almost respectable. Amélie glanced over and smiled. "See? You learn. I feel like a child in the kitchen, Marie said. If anyone saw me, they would think I had been raised by wolves. You were raised by wolves with very good manners, Amélie replied. They taught you to sit perfectly straight while you starve. That sounds about right, Marie said dryly. Customers began to arrive, drawn by the familiar sight of the steaming pot. Morning, Amélie, called a woman with a basket on her arm. Is today's soup as honest as yesterday's? More honest, Amélie answered. Yesterday's had a secret. Today's has confessed everything. And who is this? The woman asked, eyeing Marie as she arranged the bread. A new helper. This is Marie, Amélie said calmly. A friend, a pretty friend, the woman said, not unkindly. You are climbing in the world, Amélie. Soon you will be feeding ladies instead of dock workers. Marie offered a small smile and a piece of bread. Have this with your soup, she said. It is fresh. The woman looked surprised at being addressed in such a clear, measured voice, but accepted it. Thank you, she said. You speak like the people up the hill. Which hill? Marie asked, innocent. The one with more lace than bread, the woman replied, chuckling. Be careful, Amélie. They will come take her back and leave you with nothing. She moved away with her bowl, still laughing. Others came. Some stared openly at Marie, some only glanced. Marie kept her eyes down and her hands busy. After a while, her confidence grew. She cut bread more smoothly. She passed pieces to customers with a small nod, listening to their chatter. Where did you find her? Jacques asked when he came by for his usual bowl. I did not find her, Amélie said. She fell from the sky. Jacques raised an eyebrow. With a dress like that, I believe it, he said. The sky always keeps the best for itself. It is generous of you to steal a piece. Go eat your soup before it cools, Amélie replied. Despite the jokes and the curious glances, things went smoothly for the first hour. Coins clinked steadily into the bowl. The pot grew lighter. For a moment, Amélie felt almost hopeful. Then, Madame Fournier arrived. Madame Fournier was not the richest woman in the quarter, nor the poorest, but she had the sharpest tongue and the longest memory. She sold vinegar and pickles from a stall near the alley, and believed this gave her the right to comment on everything that passed under the sun. Well, well, she said loudly as she approached. What have we here? Amélie and her new princess. Marie stiffened. Good morning, Madame Fournier, Amélie said. Will you have soup today? I might, Madame Fournier replied, folding her arms. If your prices have not risen with your company. How much for a bowl, now that a lady is cutting your bread? The same as always, Amélie said, keeping her voice level. I do not charge more for admiration. Someone snickered nearby. Marie kept her eyes on the loaf, slicing carefully. Where did you pick her up? Madame Fournier pressed. She does not look like she belongs to these streets. Perhaps she lost her way, Amélie said. It happens. People like that have carriages, Madame Fournier said. They do not lose their way unless they are running from something or someone. Whispers stirred at the edges of the crowd. She is my friend, Amélie said, and my helper. That is all you need to know to eat your soup. Friend? Madame Fournier repeated, her tone sharp. Do you think we are fools, Amélie? A girl like you, with no family and no protection, suddenly has a friend in fine clothes who appears from nowhere? Perhaps you have become enterprising. The implication hung in the air, ugly and clear. Heat rushed to Amélie's face. I sell soup, she said, her jaw tight. That is all I sell. Then why does your friend not speak for herself? Madame Fournier demanded, turning her gaze on Marie. Have you forgotten your own name, little bird? Or are you afraid someone will recognize it? Marie's hand slipped. The knife nicked her finger. A thin line of red appeared. She began, then stopped, swallowing. I truly do not know my name, madame. Madame Fournier's eyes narrowed. Do not know your name, she repeated. What will you tell us next? That you do not know where you come from, or whom you belong to? Marie's throat worked. No sound came. Yes, Amélie said quickly, stepping forward. That is exactly what she will tell you because it is the truth. She was lost, and I found her. That is all. If you have never been kind enough to help a stranger, do not expect to understand it. A murmur moved through the customers. Some seemed uncomfortable. Others watched with open curiosity. Madame Fournier sniffed. You should be careful, Amélie, she said. The city does not look kindly on people who hide runaways or thieves. There are laws. There are policemen. There are consequences. As there are for slander, Amélie shot back. Are you threatening me? Madame Fournier demanded. I am feeding you, Amélie said, or I would be, if you had paid for your soup. Until then, perhaps you might save your spit for the spoon. Her voice shook slightly, but she held Madame Fournier's gaze. A few of the watching customers shifted. One man cleared his throat. Come now, he said. We all know Amélie. She has never given us anything but soup and bread. If she says the girl is only lost, then she is only lost. Another woman nodded. And if she were truly in trouble, would she be here in the open? She added. Let the girl help. Those hands are not made for idleness. Madame Fournier's lips pressed into a thin line. She looked around, saw that she did not have the full crowd behind her, and changed tactics. Well, she said, if the rest of you wish to risk buying soup from a woman who shelters strangers, that is your affair. I, for one, prefer to know whom I sit beside. She tossed a coin on the counter anyway, grabbed her bowl, and moved off with a final glare. The tension eased slightly. Conversations resumed. The square's noise rose again. Amélie exhaled slowly, realizing she had been holding her breath. Are you all right? She asked Marie in a low voice. Marie lifted her hand to show the small cut. I have survived worse, she said. I think. Her smile was faint but steady. That was cruel, she added. What she said. Cruelty is cheap, Amélie replied. It costs nothing to speak. It costs much more to be silent when your tongue itches. Today, we will be the ones who pay. She glanced at the line. It was shorter now. Some people had drifted away, uncertain. The clink of coins came less often. I am sorry, Marie said quietly. I did not mean to cause you trouble. You did not cause it, Amélie said. You only gave it a face to look at. Trouble was already here. It just needed a reason to speak. At that moment, a figure in a dark uniform approached. The policeman from the square. His step was measured, his expression unreadable. Morning, Amélie, he said. Busy? Less than usual, she said. Can I serve you a bowl? Later, he replied. First, I must ask a few questions. He turned his gaze to Marie. This is the woman everyone has been talking about, he asked. This is my friend, Marie, Amélie said. She helps me. Is there a law against that? That depends, the policeman replied. On who she is. May I ask, mademoiselle, where you are from? Marie stood a little straighter. I do not know, she said carefully. You do not know where you are from, he repeated slowly. Do you know your family name? No, she said. Your address? He pressed. No. Your occupation? She hesitated. Apparently I slice bread badly, she said with a trace of dry humor. Beyond that I cannot say. The policeman frowned. Are you making light of this? He asked. No, monsieur, she said quickly. I speak the truth. I woke in this city with no memory of who I was or how I arrived. Amélie was kind enough to give me shelter, that is all. The policeman studied her face. Then he looked at Amélie. You brought her to your room? He asked. Yes, Amélie said. She was alone. It was dark. I could not leave her. You should have informed us, he said, the station. We handle such cases. I handle hungry people, Amélie replied. She was hungry. That seemed urgent. And now? He asked. Now she is your helper. Yes, Amélie said. Until she remembers who she is, or someone honest comes to claim her. She will have something to do besides stare at walls. And if someone less than honest comes to claim her? He asked. Then I will ask questions, Amélie said. Do you intend to become judge as well as cook? He asked dryly. No, she said. Only human. A few people nearby made small sounds, half admiration, half fear for her boldness. The policeman sighed. Times are difficult, he said. A woman with no name and no past attracts attention. There have been thefts, scams, people pretending to be what they are not. You think I am pretending? Marie asked quietly. I think I do not know what to think, he replied. Which is why I must be cautious. For your own safety as well as others, it would be better if you came to the station, mademoiselle. Marie went very still. Now? She asked. Yes, he said. Amélie's heart thudded. Is that necessary? She asked. She is doing no harm here. You can see her. Everyone can. That is precisely the problem, he said. Everyone can see her. If she is wanted for something, she is wanted for bread and soup, Amélie interrupted. Nothing more. Amélie, he said quietly, do not make this harder. She bit back another retort. Her grip on the ladle whitened her knuckles. Marie spoke first. If I go with you, she asked, what will happen? We will ask questions, he said. We will see if anyone has reported a missing person who matches your description. We will keep you until we know more. In a cell, she asked. In a room, he said, with a door that locks. Marie swallowed. That sounds like a cell to me, she murmured. He did not deny it. Amélie took a breath. May I come with her? She asked. At least for a while. You have work, he said, and I have rules. She has no one, Amélie said. I am all she has. Must she face a locked door alone? The policeman hesitated. He was not cruel. He was simply tired and bound by duties. I cannot keep you there, he said, but you may walk with us as far as the station. After that we will see. Thank you, she said. Do not thank me yet, he replied. Amélie turned to Marie. Do you trust me? She asked. Yes, Marie said without pause. Then let us go, Amélie said. We will answer their questions. Perhaps they will have answers of their own. What about your stall? Marie asked. Jacques stepped forward from the small group watching. I will watch it, he said. If anyone tries to steal your pot, I will hit them with an apple. You will eat my bread and tell me there was a rat, Amélie said, but her eyes were grateful. Go, he said. You cannot leave her to them alone. Amélie nodded and wiped her hands on her apron. She stepped out from behind the stall, joining Marie and the policeman as they began to walk. The journey to the station was not long, but every step seemed to stretch. Passers-by turned their heads. 2 women with a policeman, one in a worn dress, one in a torn but elegant gown. Together they looked like an odd story moving through the streets. Inside the station the air was cooler, tinged with ink and damp stone. The policeman led them to a small room with 2 chairs and a table. Sit, he said. Marie sat carefully, back straight. Amélie remained standing. Ask, she said. We will answer what we can. The questions were simple, but they had no simple answers. Name, family, work, last memory. Each time Marie said, I do not know, in a voice that retained its dignity, even as it grew more strained. At last, the policeman rubbed his forehead. I believe you, he said. Or rather, I believe that you believe what you say. That still leaves us with a problem. What problem? Amélie asked. A woman without papers wandering the city is a problem, he replied. If she were sick, we would send her to the hospital. If she were mad, to the asylum. But she is neither. She is simply missing from her own life. And until that life comes to claim her? Amélie asked. What then? He looked at Marie. Do you wish to stay with this woman? He asked her. Yes, Marie said at once. With Amélie. She has been kind. I am not afraid with her. And you, Amélie? He asked. Are you sure you wish to carry this weight? Yes, she said. He sighed. Very well, he said. I will note that she is in your care for now. If any report comes that may be connected to her, we will come to you. Thank you, Amélie said, relief loosening her shoulders. But understand this, he added. If it turns out that she is involved in something complicated, you may be drawn into it as well. Everything in this city is complicated, she replied. At least this complication can wash dishes. He actually smiled. Go then, he said. Stay out of trouble if you can. We will try, Amélie said. They walked back to the square more quietly than before. I am sorry, Marie said again. I seemed to spend the whole day apologizing. I knew what I was doing, Amélie said. I did not pick up a lost cat. I chose a person. That comes with consequences. And with jokes, Marie said. You do not lose those, even in police stations. If I lose my jokes, I will have nothing left to sell, Amélie replied. Ah, look, the square is still standing. That is a good sign. Jacques handed the stall back with a flourish. No one stole anything, he said. I stood guard like a soldier. A hungry soldier. You will be paid in soup, Amélie said. Later. As the afternoon wore on, business did not quite recover. Some customers returned, others kept their distance, uncertain. The story of the nameless woman and the police visit had already begun to spread. By the time the sun dipped low, the pot was emptier than she had feared, but fuller than she had hoped. It would have to do. They were beginning to pack up when a group of sailors crossed the square, laughing and talking loudly. One of them waved a folded sheet of paper. "Look what they've put up at the port," he said to a friend. "A real lady gone missing, they say. There's a reward and everything." "A lady?" the friend asked. "What, one of the rich ones finally got tired of her curtains?" "Something like that," the first sailor said. "Listen. Disappeared near the coastal road, last seen in a carriage. Medium height, slender figure, fair skin, grey eyes, dark hair, wearing a blue travelling dress with fine trim and a small hat with a pale ribbon. Answers to the name." He squinted at the page. "Elise Beaumont, Countess of Beaumont." Amélie felt Marie go very still beside her. The sailor laughed. "If I see a countess wandering the docks, I'll bring her right back," he said. "For that kind of money, I'd carry her on my back." "Bring your paper here," another voice called. "Let us see how a countess looks." The sailor shrugged and headed toward the fountain, waving the notice in the air. The description sounded so much like Marie that Amélie's fingers went numb around the ladle. The description sounded so much like Marie that Amélie's fingers went numb around the ladle. Beside her, Marie whispered so quietly that Amélie barely heard it. "Grey eyes," she murmured. "Dark hair. A small hat." Her hand rose unconsciously to touch the crooked hat still perched on her head. Amélie forced herself to breathe. "It is a coincidence," she said quickly. "There must be many women with grey eyes and hats. Hats are not rare, nor eyes." Marie did not answer at once. Her gaze was fixed on the sailor crossing the square, the paper fluttering in his hand. "Come," Amélie muttered. "Finish wrapping the bread. We must close." "You are shaking," Marie said. "So are you," Amélie replied. "Let us both pretend not to notice." The sailor reached a group of men near the fountain. They crowded around, eager to see, to hear. The words countess and reward rose above the noise, floating toward the stall like bits of ash. "Read it again," someone called. "From the beginning." All right," the sailor said, enjoying the attention. He smoothed the page and cleared his throat. "Notice. The undersigned Henri Beaumont, Count of Beaumont, offers a generous reward for any information regarding the disappearance of his wife, Elise Beaumont, née Moreau. She was last seen on the coastal road north of Marseille on the evening of the whatever day, travelling in a carriage. Description: medium height, slender, fair skin, grey eyes, dark hair, refined manner. She may be disoriented or confused due to a recent accident. Anyone who has seen a woman matching this description is urged to contact the authorities or present themselves at the Beaumont estate. "How generous is this generous reward?" someone asked. "It does not say," the sailor said. "But for a countess? Enough, I think, to drink for a month." Laughter followed, then more questions. The paper passed from hand to hand. Amélie turned away, trying to focus on stacking bowls. "It might not be you," she said to Marie in a low voice. "There is no mention of torn gloves. That is an important detail." Marie's lips twitched. "And the countess probably never learned to slice bread unevenly," she said softly. "That too," Amélie replied. "You see? It cannot be you. You are only our clumsy Marie." But even as she spoke, she saw the way Marie's eyes grew distant, the way her brows drew together as if she were listening to something far away. "Elise," Marie whispered suddenly. "What?" Amélie asked. Marie blinked. "That name," she said. "Elise. It stirs something, like a door opening a little. But when I look through, I see nothing clear. Only shapes." "That is still better than before," Amélie said, trying to make her voice light. "Yesterday you had no door at all. Today you have one, even if someone has forgotten to hang curtains." "Do you think—" Marie began, then shook her head. "It is foolish." "Say it," Amélie said. "Do you think I could be—" She swallowed. "Her. A countess?" Amélie asked. "You? You make it sound impossible," Marie said, a little hurt. "No," Amélie said quickly. "Only unlikely. But many unlikely things happen. You arrived in my square, for one. Still, we do not know. And until we do, I will not let anyone carry you off like a sack of flour just because a piece of paper says you resemble someone." "What if that someone is truly missing?" Marie asked quietly. "What if there is a man, somewhere, who is frightened for his wife? Then perhaps he should have walked beside her instead of sending her out on roads alone," Amélie said before she could stop herself. Marie looked at her. "So, you would keep me from him?" she asked. If I belong to him. I do not know, Amelie answered honestly. I only know that until I am sure he wishes what is best for you, I will not hand you over like lost property. And if I wish to go? Marie asked. Amelie opened her mouth, then closed it. That question lodged deeper than the others. Then, she said slowly, I suppose I will walk beside you as far as I can. They finished closing the stall in silence. The square began to empty again. The sailor and his friends moved off, the notice tucked back into his pocket, his story ready to be told in a dozen taverns. By the time the sky darkened, the paper and its words could have been a dream. The next morning, the dream returned in a very solid form. Amélie knew something was wrong before she reached the square. The noise was different, less like morning chatter, more like the hum that rises before a performance. What is it? Marie asked, walking beside her with the covered basket of bread. Curiosity, Amélie said. And trouble, perhaps. They walked together. When they turned the corner, she saw the reason at once. A carriage stood at the far end of the square. It was not like the few hired carriages that passed through sometimes, carrying travellers or merchants. This one was larger, its wood polished, its wheels clean. The horses were well kept, their harness gleaming. People gave it space the way water curls around a rock. They pretended not to stare and stared all the same. A man in a dark coat stood beside it, speaking to the policeman. His posture was straight, his gestures precise. Even at a distance, there was a sense of habit in the way he held himself, as if he was used to being listened to. That must be him, someone near the fountain whispered. The Count, the one with the missing wife. Yes. Look at his boots. I have never seen leather like that. Amélie felt Marie slow beside her. Do you wish to turn back? Amélie asked quietly. Where would I go? Marie answered. Your room is in the other direction, and if that man is not looking for me, then I am only running from a ghost. And if he is, Amélie asked, then I must know, Marie said, her voice thin but steady. I am tired of not knowing. They reached their usual place and began to set up the stall with shaking hands that they tried to hide. The policeman saw them first. His gaze flicked to Marie, then back to the man beside him. He said something low. The man turned. From across the square, his eyes met hers. It was a strange moment. Time seemed to contract around that straight line of sight. His face changed. The tension in it softened. His eyes widened. He took one step forward, then another, as if his feet had found their path without asking permission. Elise, he said. The word carried, though he did not shout. The square caught it and passed it along like a rumour. Marie's hand tightened around the edge of the stall. I know that name, she whispered, but I do not know him. The man walked toward them, the policeman at his side. People parted to let them through. Up close he looked older than Amélie had expected. Not old, but marked. There were lines at the corners of his eyes that spoke of worry and work, not laughter. His hair was dark with a few strands of grey near his temples. His clothes were expensive but simple, the kind chosen by someone who does not need to prove anything. He stopped in front of the stall and looked at Marie as if nothing else existed. Elise, he said again, softer now. Thank God. Marie swallowed. Her lips parted. She said. Sir, the policeman cleared his throat. Count Beaumont, he said. This is the woman we spoke of. She calls herself Marie. She claims not to remember anything. Claims? The Count repeated, his gaze flicking briefly to the policeman before returning to Marie. Look at her. This is my wife. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small case. Inside was a miniature portrait, painted with delicate strokes. It showed a young woman with grey eyes, dark hair, and a composed expression. The resemblance was clear, even if the version standing before them looked thinner, more fragile. Amélie's stomach twisted. She looks like her, the policeman admitted, but she does not remember. Not her name, not you, not the estate. She has been through an ordeal, the Count said, an undercurrent of frustration in his voice. The doctor warned me that her memory might be affected. That is why the notice says she may be confused. He returned the portrait to his pocket, as if the matter were settled. Marie had not taken her eyes off him. What ordeal? She asked quietly. What happened to me? He looked at her, and for the first time a crack appeared in his certainty. Pain flickered there, then was quickly covered. You were travelling to visit my sister, he said. There was an incident with the carriage. It overturned on the road. You were shaken, but you insisted you were well. The next morning you were gone. The servants thought you had gone for a walk. When you did not return, we searched everywhere. I remember a carriage, Marie said slowly, and cold air and fear, but I do not remember you. The Count flinched just slightly. Memory can be strange, he said. It returns in fragments. The doctor said you must not force it. You simply need to come home. Rest. Be surrounded by familiar things. Then it will come back. Who am I to you? Marie asked. You call me wife. But what does that mean to you? He hesitated, as if the question were unfair. You are everything, he said at last. My responsibility. My partner, the one I vowed to protect. Then why do I feel afraid when I look at you? She asked, the words slipping out before she could soften them. A murmur went through the watching crowd. The Count's jaw tightened. Because you are confused, he said, more sharply than before. He caught himself, smoothed his voice. You have been alone among strangers, without care. Of course you are afraid, but you will not be alone now. I have not been without care, Marie said, her gaze flicking to Amélie. Amélie has looked after me. Only then did he seem to notice the soup seller standing between them, ladle still in her hand. You are the one who sheltered her? He asked, giving Amélie a brief, assessing look. Yes, Amélie said. She wandered into the square. She did not know who she was. I could not leave her. His expression softened. Then I owe you a debt, he said. You have done what I could not. You have kept my wife safe. For that, you have my gratitude. His words were courteous, but there was something distant in them, as though he were speaking from a stage. Amélie forced a polite nod. I did what anyone would do, she said. Not anyone, Marie murmured. The Count glanced at her again, and the hint of steel in his eyes returned. We should not linger here, he said. Elise, you have been outside long enough. The air is damp. You must come with me now. He extended his hand. Marie did not take it. I do not remember you, she repeated. Nor your estate, nor this life you describe. You remember enough to know that it is yours, he insisted. You reacted to the name. You remember the carriage. You remember fear. All of that belongs to the same story. It is yours. What if I do not want it? She asked in a low voice. You do not know what you want, he replied. How could you? You have no memory. That is why you must trust me. Trust must be earned, Amélie said quietly. She had not meant to speak aloud, but the words slipped out. The Count's head turned toward her again. And who are you to speak of trust? He asked. You have known her for what? A few days. You have seen only a fragment of her. I have known her for years. I know what she likes, what she fears, what her duties are. I know the weight she carries. Do you know if she was happy? Amélie asked. His lips parted, then pressed together. Happiness is not always the point, he said. Stability, honor, respect. These matter more. Not to everyone, Amélie murmured. The policeman shifted, sensing the tension. Count Beaumont, he said. We must proceed appropriately. The woman has been living here under care. If she does not wish to go with you... The Count straightened. Are you questioning my right to take my wife home? He asked, his voice very controlled. I have provided documents. The portrait matches. The description matches. And she herself responds to the name. What more do you require? The woman's own agreement, Amélie said. The Count's eyes narrowed. You speak boldly for a stall-keeper, he said. And you speak like a man who expects the world to bow when he enters a room, she replied. A hush fell over the square. No one breathed. Marie reached out and touched Amélie's sleeve. It is all right, she said softly. Do not quarrel for me. I am not worth a quarrel. You are worth more than that, Amélie said, her voice tight. The Count looked from one woman to the other, something unreadable passing through his gaze. Elise, he said more gently, please, I beg you, come with me. If you find that you are unhappy, you may shout at me as much as you like. But first, let me take you home. Let me make this right. There was real feeling in his tone now, a tremor beneath the polished words. Marie looked at him for a long, long moment. I'm afraid, she said quietly. I know, he replied. So am I. The honesty of that startled her. You will not lock me away, she asked. You will not send me to doctors who treat me like a broken object? He seemed startled in turn. I want you well, he said. not stored. I swear to you, I will do whatever is necessary. But I cannot do anything as long as you are here cutting bread in a square. A bitter, almost embarrassed note entered his voice. You do not belong in this noise, he added. You never did. I disagree, Amélie said. Marie closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them, there was a new steadiness there. If I go, she said slowly, Amélie comes with me. For a time. She does not have to stay forever, but she must be there. I trust her. I trust you. Not yet. The Count looked taken aback. You wish to bring a stranger into our home? He asked. She is not a stranger to me, Marie said. She is the only piece of my life I'm sure of. Without her, I will feel like a guest in my own house. With her, perhaps I will find myself. The policeman cleared his throat again. You can refuse, he said quietly to the Count. But if you wish her willing, it might be wise to agree. The Count studied Amélie once more, weighing something invisible. You will not steal my silver, he said at last. I do not even know what silver looks like up close, Amélie replied. And you will not interfere between my wife and me, he added. I will not stand between her and any truth, Amélie said, whatever that truth may be. He exhaled. Very well, he said. For a short time until she is settled, then we will revisit the arrangement. He turned to Marie. Is that enough? He asked. Yes, Marie said. Then gather what you need, he said. We will leave within the hour. The day is wasting and the road is not short. He stepped back, giving the signal to end the discussion. People began to murmur again, the spell broken. A count in our square, Jacques said under his breath. You see, Amélie, you should raise your prices. Your stall is now famous. Be quiet, she muttered, though a ghost of a smile tugged at her mouth. She turned to Marie. Are you sure? She asked softly. You do not have to go. Not yet. You could wait. You could think. I have been thinking since I woke in your square, Marie said. Thinking has not given me answers. Perhaps movement will. And you trust him? Amélie asked. Marie looked toward the carriage, then back at Amélie. I trust you, she said. Enough to walk into the unknown if you are beside me. Those simple words landed heavier in Amélie's chest than any insult. Then I will come, Amélie said. She closed the stall with mechanical speed. Jacques promised again to guard her spot. The policeman watched, making notes, as if writing this strange scene into the city's memory. Soon, the carriage door stood open. The Count waited beside it, one hand on the handle, the other gloved and at his side. People ringed the square at a distance, pretending to go about their business while openly watching. Amélie and Marie approached together. The horses stamped lightly. The carriage loomed. This feels like the edge of the world, Marie whispered. It is only the edge of a step, Amélie said. And I am right here. Marie paused. She placed one foot on the carriage step, her hand reaching for the door. The Count's gaze was fixed on her, full of hope and tension. The square held its breath. She turned her head, looking back at Amélie, at the stall, at the fountain, at the narrow streets where she had learned to slice bread and laugh at her own clumsiness. Her voice, when she spoke, was barely more than a breath, but it carried straight to Amélie's heart. Tell me, she asked, do I truly belong with this man who says I am his wife, or with the woman who gave me a name when I had nothing? The square held its breath, waiting for someone else to answer Marie's question. Tell me, she asked, do I truly belong with this man who says I am his wife, or with the woman who gave me a name when I had nothing? Amélie's first impulse was to say, with me, loudly and without shame. The word rose to her tongue and stayed there. She looked at Marie, at the uncertainty in her eyes, at the way her hand trembled on the carriage door. You belong, Amélie said slowly, where you choose to stand. That is not an answer, Marie whispered. It is the only honest one I have, Amélie replied. If this man truly is your husband, then a part of your life is with him, whether you remember it or not. But the life you have begun again is with me. No one can tell you which life weighs more. Not him, not me, only you. The Count watched, jaw tight. The crowd leaned closer, pretending not to. Marie let out a long, thin breath. I do not know which life weighs more, she said. I do not know my past. But I know this. I do not wish to run from myself. If he is part of who I was, I must see it. I must stand in front of it. And I want you there When I do, Amélie nodded once. Then we will go, she said. Both of us. Marie stepped fully onto the carriage step and turned to the Count. I will go with you, she said, but understand this, monsieur. I go not because you command it, but because I choose to, and I bring my choice with me. He inclined his head slightly, something like respect passing through his gaze. I accept that, he said, and I thank you. He offered his hand again. This time Marie set her gloved fingers in his. He helped her into the carriage as if she were glass. Amélie climbed in after her, awkward and very aware of her worn shoes against the clean floor. The seats were soft. The interior smelled faintly of leather and something sharp, like cologne. The door closed. The outside voices blurred into a distant hum. The carriage rocked as the horses moved, then began to roll. For a while, no one spoke. Marie sat across from the Count, beside Amélie. Her shoulder touched Amélie's sleeve. Her eyes were on the small window, where the streets of Marseille slid by. It feels strange, she murmured, to be taken away in a carriage when I arrived here on my own 2 feet. You should never have been walking alone, the Count said. You should never have been anywhere alone. Why? She asked softly. Do you think I am made of sugar? He gave a faint smile. Not sugar, he said. Glass, perhaps. Beautiful. Fragile. I'm tired of being fragile, she said. What if I wish to be something else? Amélie cleared her throat. Porcelain, she suggested, still breakable but more stubborn about it. Marie's mouth curved. Perhaps, she said. Or iron, covered in silk. The Count looked between them, puzzlement and curiosity mingling in his eyes. You speak differently, he said to Marie. I do not remember you making jokes like this. Perhaps I was not given much to joke about, she replied. He shifted, uncomfortable. You had everything, he said. A house, respect, fine things. A husband determined to see you safe. Perhaps that was the problem, she murmured. He hesitated, then took a breath. If we are to make any path forward, he said, I must know what you remember. Do you recall the estate? No, she said. Only pieces. A clock, a window, fingers tapping on a table. That is all. He nodded slowly. And the days before the accident? He pressed. Do you recall feeling unwell, tired? I recall feeling pressed, she said, as if the air were thicker around me, as if the walls were leaning in. But I think that is more a feeling than a memory. He looked down at his gloved hands. The doctor said you were exhausted, he said, that you needed rest, quiet, that your nerves were too finely strung. He recommended that we avoid agitation, visitors, travel. And you agreed, she asked. What else could I do? He replied. I am responsible for you, for your health, for your name, for the estates you brought into our marriage. It is my duty to shield you from harm. Even from myself? She asked. If necessary, he said. There, Amélie said quietly. You see? Sugar. The Count's gaze snapped to her. You judge me quickly, he said. I listen, she answered. To your own words. He studied her, then exhaled. You speak like someone who has never had to answer to anyone but herself, he said. It is different when you are tied to lands, to people, to a name that has existed for centuries. Every action calls an echo. And yet, Amélie said, it seems one woman walking on a road alone can disappear without shaking your walls too much. He flinched. That is not fair, he said quietly. Do you know how many men I sent out to search? How many nights I did not sleep, imagining every possible horror. I lost her once. I do not intend to lose her again. Marie's hand found Amélie's under the edge of her skirt and squeezed gently, a silent plea. Enough, she said. We will go in circles like this. You see the world through one window, Amélie through another. I stand between them and see little at all. Then what do you wish? He asked her. She thought for a moment. I wish to arrive, she said. To see this house you say is mine, to walk through it, to listen to its echoes. Perhaps then my mind will recognize something my eyes cannot. He nodded. That is reasonable, he said. We are not far now. An hour, perhaps. You live very close and very far at the same time, Amélie murmured. The road left the city behind. The sounds changed. Fewer voices, more wheels, more hooves, Fields and low stone walls replaced crowded streets and laundry lines. Amélie watched it all with cautious curiosity. She had never gone so far from the quarter, except in her imagination. "Do you miss this?" she asked Marie. "I cannot miss what I do not remember," Marie said, "but my hands miss your stall already." "Your hands will forget me the moment they touch silk sheets," Amélie said, trying to sound joking. Marie turned to her. "My hands remember the night you warmed soup for me," she said. "Silk has nothing to teach them." The Count watched their exchange, something thoughtful in his expression. "You have grown assertive," he said to his wife. "It unsettles me. Perhaps I was always so," she said. "Perhaps you simply did not see it." He leaned back against the seat and fell silent. When they finally turned onto a long lane lined with trees, Marie went still. "There is something," she whispered. "What?" Amélie asked. "The sound," Marie said. "The wheels on this road. I have heard it before. And the way the wind moves here. It smells like the same place where I was thinking I might never be free." Amélie felt her swallow. "Is that how you remember home?" Amélie asked softly. "As the place where you thought you might never be free?" "I do not know," Marie said. "It might be, it might not. I'm afraid of my own mind." The estate came into view as they rounded a bend. It was large but not ostentatious, a broad stone house with tall windows and a steep roof. The grounds were trimmed and orderly, as if someone had gone through the world with scissors, cutting away wildness. Servants appeared at the front steps as the carriage rolled to a stop. A butler, a maid, a footman. They lined up like chess pieces. When the door opened, the Count stepped out first. Then he turned, offering his hand. "Élise," he said, "welcome home." The word settled between them with a weight Marie did not know how to carry. She did not move. Amélie, sitting beside her, said quietly, "It is only a step. You have taken harder ones in my stairwell." Marie let out a breath and placed her hand in the Count's. She descended. The gravel crunched under her shoes. The air smelled of trimmed hedges and faint smoke. Amélie climbed down after them, clutching her small bundle of things. Her entire life fit into that bundle. The house in front of her looked like it could swallow it and not notice. A maid at the top of the steps let out a strangled sound. "Madame!" she cried. "Madame Élise!" She ran down the steps, forgetting all dignity, and stopped 3 paces away, hands pressed to her mouth. Marie stared at her. For a heartbeat, their faces mirrored each other. Disbelief, hope, fear. "Do you know me?" Marie asked. The maid nodded rapidly, tears in her eyes. "I know you," she said. "I have made your bed and brushed your hair and scolded you for forgetting to eat. I am Céline. Do you not remember?" The name made something stir in Marie's mind, like a pebble dropped into cloudy water. "Céline," she repeated. "I am sorry. She shook her head helplessly. "She remembers little," the Count said. "We must be patient." Céline looked at him, then back at Marie, then at Amélie with quick, assessing eyes. "And who is this?" she asked. "This is Amélie," Marie said quickly. "She is my friend." Céline's brows rose just slightly at the word. Then she nodded. "Then she is welcome," she said. "Anyone who brings you back is welcome." The butler bowed stiffly. "Welcome home, madam," he said in a formal tone. "Your rooms have been prepared. We have kept them as you left them." "As she left them," Marie murmured. "I wonder who that woman was." They went inside. The hall was wide, the floor polished. Portraits looked down from the walls, men and women in old-fashioned clothes, all watching with the same pale, distant eyes. Marie's steps slowed. "I know this floor," she whispered. "I have walked here many times, thinking thoughts I cannot recall." Céline hovered at her side. "Shall I take you to your rooms, madame?" she asked. "You may wish to rest before supper." Marie hesitated and looked at the Count. "May Amélie stay near me?" she asked. "She can have the small room next to yours," he said. "It used to be a sewing room. We will have a bed brought." "I can sleep on your floor like a faithful dog," Amélie muttered. "You will sleep in a bed," Marie said. "If I must have one, so must you." Céline's mouth twitched. She seemed to approve. As they walked through the corridors, Marie touched small things. A table, a vase, a carved banister. "I remember this," she said once, resting her hand on a particular spot on the railing. "I used to stop here and listen to something. Music, voices. Celine nodded. You would stand there when the guests arrived, she said. You did not like to go down at once. You said you preferred to see them before they saw you. That sounds like me, Marie murmured. In her rooms, the sense of familiarity grew stronger. A dressing table, a wardrobe, a faint scent of lavender. Like stepping into someone else's shadow, Amélie said quietly. Or my own, Marie replied, stretched in a direction I do not remember walking. The Count paused at the door. I will leave you now, he said. Celine will help you settle. We will dine at 7. Perhaps by then you will remember that you like roasted chicken. I will do my best, Marie said. He bowed slightly and left. Celine busied herself with small tasks, clearly bursting with questions she did not quite dare ask. Amélie stood awkwardly near the wall. You do not have to hover like a coat on a peg, Marie said to her. Sit. This may all disappear in an hour. We should enjoy it while it exists. Amélie sat on the edge of a chair that looked too fine for her. This is a very large room, she said. You could fit my entire building in here and still have space for your dresses. You never liked the size, madame, Celine said absently as she smoothed the bedspread. How you always said it made your thoughts echo. I was right then, Marie said. I do not like it. Celine glanced at Amélie, then cleared her throat. If you do not mind, madame, she said, I would like a moment with your friend. There are things. It would be useful to know what has happened while you were away. Marie nodded. Do not frighten her, she said. She is unused to large houses. I will do my best, Celine replied. She gestured to the adjoining little room that would be Amélie's. May we speak there, mademoiselle? She asked. Amélie followed her in. It was indeed small, with bare walls and a single window. It felt much more like home. Celine closed the door behind them and turned at once. You found her in Marseille? She asked. Yes, Amélie said. In the square. She was lost. No memory, no name. Celine nodded, unsurprised. She took nothing with her, she said. No cloak, no money. I knew then it was not planned. Or if it was, she planned poorly. You think she left on purpose? Amélie asked. Celine hesitated. I think, she said carefully, that she was desperate, not from cruelty. Do not misunderstand. The Count is not a bad man. He is rigid, proud. He believes he knows what is best for everyone, especially her. He tried to wrap her in cotton and keep the world from touching her. She could not breathe. Did she say this? Amélie asked. Not with words, Celine said. With the way she stood at windows. With the way she lingered near the gate. She wanted to visit the city. To see something other than these walls and the polite faces that passed through them. And he forbade it? Amélie asked. He said it was not appropriate, Celine replied. That it was dangerous, that people might talk, that her nerves were too delicate. And the doctor? Amélie asked. He mentioned a doctor. Celine's lips thinned. Dr. Renaud, she said, a serious man. He spoke of treatments, rest, quiet. He recommended that the Count take legal steps to ensure she could not make decisions while she was unwell. Legal steps? Amélie repeated. There is a way, Celine said in a low voice, for a husband to be named guardian over his wife's property if she is declared incapable. It would have protected her, they said, protected the estates from rash choices. Like choosing her own friends, Amélie asked. Perhaps, Celine said. She overheard them one evening. The Count and the doctor. Talking in the next room, she came to me afterward. Her hands were shaking. She said she felt as if the walls were closing in. And then? Amélie asked. The next day she travelled to visit the Count's sister, Celine said. At least that was the plan. The carriage left. It never arrived. We received word there had been an accident. The horses spooked. No one died. But when the servants woke the next morning, she was gone. And you think she left because she was afraid of being controlled? Amélie asked. I think she did not want to wake one day and find that every choice had been taken from her, Celine said. Whether she fell from the carriage or stepped out of it, I cannot say. I was not there. But I know she was unhappy. And I know he did not see it until she disappeared. Amélie leaned against the window frame. He says he loves her, she said. I believe he does, Celine answered. In his way. But love without listening can crush as surely as hate. Does he know what the doctor said made her feel? Amélie asked. I doubt it, Celine said. Was very polite. She did not like to cause trouble. She preferred to swallow her own distress rather than disturb anyone. It is my opinion that this is a very foolish habit. I agree, Amélie said. Entirely. Céline looked at her closely. You are different from the people here, she said. You speak as if the world is not already written. It is not, Amélie replied. I write mine daily in chalk and wash it away each night. Céline smiled faintly. Then perhaps you are precisely what Madame needs, she said. They returned to the main room together. Marie was standing by the window, fingers resting on the glass. I remember the view, she said as they entered, but not what I thought while looking at it. Perhaps you thought about the bakery you wished to open in Marseille, Amélie said. Marie turned, startled. Bakery, she asked. Why not, Amélie said. You have already conquered bread slicing. The rest is easy. Marie laughed, the sound a little more relaxed than before. A bakery, she repeated. Imagine, a countess and a soup seller behind the same counter. Terrifying, Céline said dryly. Society might collapse. Let it, Marie said. It seems fragile anyway. Later, after she had changed into a dress Céline chose from the wardrobe, they sat together on a small sofa, while the late afternoon light slanted across the floor. I spoke with Céline, Marie said. She told me about the doctor, the talk of guardianship, the plans made over my head. I thought so, Amélie replied. She did not seem surprised you left. Marie was quiet for a moment. I remember something now, she said softly. Not everything, but enough. What? Amélie asked. The night before the journey, Marie said. I was in the sitting room. I heard voices in the next room, Henri and the doctor. They were speaking in low tones, but I heard enough. Words like responsibility, protection, legal necessity. The doctor said it would be best if someone else took charge of my affairs, at least for a time. Henri did not argue. He said he would do whatever was required. And how did that make you feel? Amélie asked. Like a child, Marie replied. No, like a piece of furniture, something to be placed where others decided. I remember standing there, holding onto the back of a chair so hard my fingers ached. I thought, if I do nothing, I will disappear inside my own life. She drew a shaky breath. And then? Amélie prompted gently. And then I went upstairs, Marie said. I packed a small bag. I did not know what I meant to do. Leave, perhaps. Run. I decided that on the journey to his sister's house, I would ask the driver to stop in the city. I would vanish, find work, change my name. I was afraid, but more afraid of staying. Her voice grew distant. I remember the carriage, she continued, the road, the rhythm of the wheels. I remember telling the driver to stop when we neared the outskirts of Marseille. He hesitated. I insisted. He helped me down. I remember standing on the roadside as the carriage rolled away, my bag in my hand. I took a step toward the city, then another, and then— She pressed her fingers to her temple. Nothing, she whispered. Only waking near your square, with my head full of fog. Perhaps you fainted, Amélie said. From fear, or from the weight of what you had done. Perhaps, Marie said. Perhaps I fell and struck my head, or wandered until I forgot why. Either way, I did not disappear by accident. I chose it. That matters. It does, Amélie agreed. Do you think I was wrong? Marie asked quietly. To try to run from a life I did not choose? I think, Amélie said slowly, that you were wrong to run alone. But you did not know you had anyone to run with. And now I do, Marie said. Their eyes met. The room seemed to grow smaller, in a good way this time. Whatever happens with Henri, with this house, with the doctor, Marie said, I will not go back to being a shadow in my own life. I will not let others decide everything for me. This I know even if I remember nothing else. And where do I fit in that life? Amélie asked, the question slipping out before she could catch it. Marie did not look away. At the center, she said simply. Without you, I would be wandering still, nameless, voiceless. You gave me a name when I had none. You listened when no one else knew I existed. You fed me when I could not even say thank you without trembling. What is that, if not love? The word hung between them, soft and startling. Love, Amélie repeated in a whisper. You love me? How could I not? Marie replied. If love is care and trust, and the feeling that the ground is solid where you stand because another stands beside you, then yes, I do. Amelie's eyes stung. I am only a soup seller, she said. I have nothing to give you but my 2 hands and a stubborn heart. You give me myself, Marie said. You remind me that I am more than a title, more than a patient, more than a duty. If I must choose a life, I choose the one in which you walk beside me every day. Her hand reached out, fingers curling around Amelie's. So I ask you, Marie said softly, will you stay? Not as my servant, not as my charity case, as my companion, my partner, in whatever life we build, here or in Marseille or somewhere in between. Amelie swallowed hard. You wish to tie your life to mine? She asked. I already have, Marie said. Now, I only ask if you will tie yours to mine in return. Yes, Amelie said, the word coming out like breath and promise at once. I will. Their hands tightened. No one else saw, no one else needed to. Later, as evening gathered, Henri knocked and entered. How are you? He asked, standing just inside the door. Tired, Marie said, but clearer than I was. That is good, he said. Perhaps being here helps. It does, she said. It also brings back things you may not enjoy hearing. He smiled without humor. I suspect that already, he said. Say what you must, I have earned it. She gestured to a chair. Sit, she said. This is not a conversation for standing. He obeyed. Amelie sat quietly by the window, watching them, ready to speak or stay silent as needed. I remember now, Marie said. Not everything. Enough. I remember the doctor, the talk of guardianship, the plans to take my choices from me. I remember deciding to leave because I was afraid that if I stayed, I would cease to exist, except as your responsibility. He closed his eyes briefly. I see, he said. So my attempts to protect you made you flee. Yes, she said, because you did not ask me what I wanted. You decided, the doctor decided, the law decided. My own voice was nowhere in the room. I thought you were too fragile, he said. You fainted easily. You became overwhelmed in crowds. You cried at small things. I thought your softness needed a stronger guard. Perhaps my softness needed room to learn its own strength, she replied. You never gave it that. He rubbed his forehead. I do not know how, he said. I was taught that a husband decides and a wife obeys, that caring means making difficult choices on her behalf, that the world is too harsh for gentler souls. And yet, she said, I survived the harshest part alone, not here, in a city square, with a woman who had nothing and still shared it with me. He glanced at Amelie then, a flicker of guilt and gratitude mixed. You did what I should have done, he said to her. Listened, watched, let her speak. I did what anyone would do, Amelie replied. No, he said, not anyone. Many would have turned away. Silence settled for a moment. So, he said at last, what do you desire now, Elise? If I am to listen, then speak. She drew a breath. I desire my independence, she said, legal and practical. I want my property, the part that came from my family, put in my name alone. I want to manage it as I see fit, with advice if I ask for it, but not control. He looked pained. Do you not trust me? He asked. I do not trust that you will always see me as fully capable of knowing my own mind, she said, and I trust that more now than I did before. He nodded slowly. Very well, he said. It will shock the lawyer, but it can be arranged. I also desire time away from here, she continued, not as a guest in someone else's house, as an owner of my own life. I wish to open a business in Marseille with Amélie, a bakery, an inn, a place where we work together and breathe air not filtered through expectations. His brows rose. A countess keeping a shop, he said. Society will choke. Let it, she replied calmly. I am tired of shaping myself to its appetite. I would rather it learn to swallow me whole or not at all. He almost smiled. You speak like a revolutionary, he said. I speak like a woman who has been to the edge of erasing herself and decided she prefers ink, she said. And me? He asked quietly. Where do I fit in this new arrangement? She looked at him with gentler eyes than before. You are my husband-in-law in memory, whether I like it or not, she said. I do not wish you ill. I do not want your life ruined. I want peace, respect, a kind of Separation that is not war. I will visit when I choose. You may write. We can be allies if nothing else, but I will not live under your roof if the price is my voice." He sat very still. "I thought I was prepared for this," he said. "I am not." "I am sorry," she said softly. "I do not mean to wound you, but I cannot go back to the way things were. Even if my memory fades again, I know this now. I must be the author of my own days." He looked at her for a long time. "You have changed," he said. "Perhaps I am only more myself," she answered. He rose slowly. "I will speak to the lawyer," he said, "and to the doctor. There will be gossip. There will be raised eyebrows. But they are not the ones waking in the night wondering who they are. You are." He turned to Amélie. "You will take good care of her," he said. "I will walk beside her," Amélie replied. "Nothing more, nothing less." He nodded once. "Then perhaps you are worth all the soup in Marseille," he said. She smiled faintly. "That is a great deal of soup," she replied. When he left, the room felt lighter, even though nothing had yet changed on paper. Marie exhaled. "I had feared a battle," she said. "Instead, it feels like an old door closing quietly." "Sometimes doors close without slamming," Amélie said. "It is still an ending." "And a beginning," Marie added. They moved to the window together. The sky beyond the trees was turning soft with evening. "Can you imagine it?" Marie asked. "A little shop, a sign with our names, bread in the window. People coming not because of titles, but because they are hungry and we feed them well." "I can imagine the blisters," Amélie said, "and the sleepless mornings, and the sound of your laughter when you burn your first batch of rolls." "I will not burn them," Marie protested. "I will crisp them innovatively." They both laughed. Marie slipped her arm through Amélie's. "Whatever the world says of us," she said, "whatever names it writes beside ours, know this. I choose you, not as a charity, not as a secret, as the person with whom I wish to spend my ordinary days." "And my extraordinary ones," Amélie said. "And those," Marie agreed, "if we are lucky enough to have them." They stood there for a while, side by side, watching the light change, already turning their thoughts toward a small shop in a noisy square, where one day soon they would open the door together. The sign over the door was small, but it shone. "Bread and light," it said in neat painted letters. Below, in smaller script, Amélie Laurent and Élise Moreau. Amélie stood in the doorway of the new shop in the Marseille square, wiping her hands on a clean apron that still felt strange around her waist. The old soup cart was gone. In its place was a real counter, a real window, and the warm smell of fresh bread. The morning was barely begun, but people were already gathering. "You are frowning," came a familiar voice behind her. "That is not allowed on our opening day." Amélie smiled without turning. "I am not frowning," she said. "I am thinking." "You always frown when you think," Élise said. "Your brow does this little line here. See?" She stepped close and gently touched the spot between Amélie's eyebrows. Her fingers were light but certain, as if they had always belonged there. "If you keep doing that," Amélie said, "my line will never leave." "Good," Élise replied. "Then I will always know where you keep your worries." She moved past her to the window, adjusting the basket of golden rolls on display. They had been in Marseille for 3 months. 3 months since the lawyers had signed the papers, since the doctor had bowed stiffly and admitted he could not stand against a woman who knew her own mind. 3 months since Élise had stepped out of the Beaumont house with a suitcase, a maid's tight hug, and a promise to return only when she wished to, not when she was summoned. Now she stood here, sleeves rolled up, hair pinned in a simpler style, hands dusted with flour. "Do you ever miss the estate?" Amélie asked quietly. "Sometimes," Élise said, "when my feet ache and I see a chair that looks soft. Then I remember that the chairs there came with invisible ropes. These do not." She glanced at Amélie. "Do you ever miss your cart?" she asked. "Sometimes," Amélie said. "It did not have walls to sweep." "True," Élise said, "but it also did not have me burning the bread." "You do not burn it," Amélie said. "You crisp it innovatively. We agreed." She laughed, and the sound spilled out into the square. Jacques the fruit seller strolled up, hands in his pockets. "So," he said, surveying the sign, "you have moved from the ground to the sky. A real roof, a real window. I am almost impressed." "You may be fully impressed," Amélie said. "We will not charge extra." "And will you still sell soup?" he asked. Or must I become a man of bread only? Soup at midday, Amélie said. Bread in the morning, sweet things in the afternoon if anyone is kind to us. I am always kind, Jacques said. We will see, Amélie replied. Behind him the policeman appeared, straightening his hat as if it were in danger of misbehaving. Madame, Mademoiselle, he began, hesitating over which title to use. Amélie, she said. And Elise, that is enough. He nodded. The station wishes you good fortune, he said a little stiffly. It is pleasant to see a case end without a missing person found in the river. You have a very cheerful way of putting things, Elise said. He flushed. I meant, he said, that I am glad you are here, both of you. Not a report in a file. We are glad too, Amélie said. Would you like bread? Yes, he said quickly. As he paid, more people drifted closer. Curiosity was a strong wind in Marseille. Madame Fournier came last, arms crossed, chin held high. So, she said, you have a shop now, Amélie, and a partner with a sign on the door, not a secret under your roof. Nothing about her was ever secret, Amélie said calmly. You saw her before anyone. Madame Fournier sniffed. I saw trouble, she said, and I was not entirely wrong, but trouble has a decent crust. She eyed the trays. What are those? She asked. Morning rolls with honey glaze, Elise said. Would you like to try one? Madame Fournier tried to keep her mouth stern, but the smell was persuasive. Perhaps, she said, if the price is not as high as your ambitions. The price is the same as everyone's, Amélie said. But if you do not like it, I will personally apologize, in front of the whole square. Madame Fournier huffed, laid down a coin and took a roll. She bit into it. Her eyes closed briefly. It is acceptable, she said, too quickly. Acceptable, Amélie repeated, amused. We will write that on the window. Bread and light. Acceptable since 1882. A few people laughed. The sound loosened the air. The morning moved quickly. Bread went out. Coins came in. Elise carried trays, wiped tables, and laughed when flour dusted her nose. Amélie ladled coffee and cut slices of warm brioche. This is better than standing behind a curtain, Elise said at one point, watching the square through the glass. Here, I see everyone, and they see me as I am. They see you as a woman carrying too many plates, Amélie replied. Go slowly. You are not racing the wind. I like racing the wind, Elise said. Around midday, when the rush thinned, a carriage appeared at the edge of the square. It was not as grand as the one that had come before, but it carried the same seal on its door. Amélie's hand tightened on the ladle. Elise froze, then forced herself to keep moving, stacking cups. Henri Beaumont stepped down. He wore simpler clothes this time. No cane, no gloves. He looked around the square, then walked straight toward the shop. Conversation outside shifted, then hushed. Some people pretended to examine fruit or cloth, but their eyes followed him. He stopped just inside the doorway, eyes adjusting to the dimmer light. Bread and light, he read. A very confident name. It was that, or Two Women and an Oven, Amélie said. This one sounded more respectable. He smiled faintly. I am not sure respectable is what you have in mind, he said. No, she replied. We prefer alive. Elise came to the counter, wiping her hands on her apron. Her heart beat faster, but her voice was steady. Henri, she said. You received my letter? Yes, he said. I did. I thought it polite to see the reality with my own eyes, not only the ink. And what do your eyes say? She asked. He looked around. The neat shelves, the small tables, the customers, the tray of cooling pastries. They say you have been busy, he replied, that your hands have found new work, that you look different. How so? She asked. Less like a caged bird, he said. More like someone who has chosen her branch. You do not disapprove? She asked. He hesitated, then shook his head. My disapproval would change nothing, he said. And I find I do not wish to spend what years I have left being angry at you for wanting a life. I came to see if you needed anything. Advice, money, protection. I have all three, she said, surprising him. Advice from customers who think they know everything. Money from each loaf, honestly earned. And protection. She glanced at Amélie. Protection from a woman who would face the police and account for me, she finished. I am well covered. He followed her gaze. His expression softened. I thought I was the only one who cared so stubbornly, he said. It seems I was wrong. Yes, Amélie said. You were. He laughed quietly. And you? He asked her. Are you content, Mademoiselle Laurent, with this arrangement? Yes, she said. For the first time in my life, I'm not only surviving the day, I am building the next one. He nodded slowly. Then I will not disturb you long, he said. I have brought something, a small reconciliation offering. He reached into his coat and placed a folded document on the counter. The final papers, he said to Elise, the separation of properties, everything we agreed to, signed, sealed, and witnessed. There is no going back now, even if I wished it. Her hand shook as she touched the paper. You do not? She asked quietly. Wish to go back? He finished. To a house full of silence and unspoken resentment? No. I prefer this strange peace. You alive in the city. Me learning that perhaps my world is not the entire world. He drew a breath. I also brought something else, he added, something less serious. From another pocket, he pulled out a small box and opened it. Inside lay 2 simple gold bands. Not wedding rings, he said quickly. I am not so foolish. They are promises of a sort. One for you, one for your partner. He glanced at Amélie, searching for the right word. Allies, he said at last. In the strange campaign of being yourselves. They belonged to my grandparents. They were not used for anything grand. They simply wore them as a sign that they would walk through their days together, whatever people said. Elise stared at the rings. You would give us this? She asked. I have kept you long enough, he said. I would like for once to give freely, if you wish it. She looked at Amélie. What do you think? She asked. I think, Amélie said slowly, that if we accept them, we must honor them, not as symbols of what he wanted for you, but of what we choose for ourselves. Exactly, Henri said. Elise smiled, eyes shining. Then we accept, she said. He placed the box gently on the counter. I should go, he said. If I stay, I will be in the way, and someone might recognize me and try to sell me an apple at twice the price. Jacques will do that, Amélie said. You should leave quickly. He laughed. At least you are honest, he said. He looked at them both. Be well, he said simply. Both of you. If you ever need anything that cannot be baked, you know where to find me. We do, Elise said. Goodbye, Henri. Goodbye, Elise, he replied. He inclined his head, turned, and left. Through the window they watched him cross the square, nod to the policeman, narrowly avoid Jacques' fruit cart, and climb into the carriage. It rolled away, smaller with each heartbeat, until it turned a corner and was gone. You are crying, Amélie said softly. A little, Elise admitted, wiping her cheeks. For what was? For what will not be? For what I escaped? For what I chose? Do you regret any of it? Amélie asked. No, she said. Not when I look at you. The day moved on. Customers came and went. The paper with the signatures rested under the counter, a quiet promise of freedom. By dusk, the shop was empty. The last crumbs had been swept. The shutters were half closed. The square outside glowed with the soft light of lamps. Amélie locked the door and turned. It feels different without people, she said. Bigger, quieter. Quieter is good, Elise said. We have spoken with our hands all day. Now we may speak with our hearts. That sounds dangerous, Amélie replied. More dangerous than facing a count? Elise asked. Yes, Amélie said. Much more. Elise walked to the counter, took the small box with the rings, and carried it to the center table. She lit 2 candles, their flames small but steady. Sit with me, she said. Amélie obeyed, feeling her pulse quicken. This is foolish, she muttered. We are alone. There is no priest, no lawyer, no one to hear us. I do not need the world to hear me, Elise said. I need you to. She opened the box and took out the rings. In the candlelight they seemed warmer than gold. When I woke in your square, I had nothing, she said quietly. No name, no past, no future. You gave me a new name. You sheltered me. You asked for nothing but my company and my honesty. I have loved you since the first night you chose to sit awake because my nightmares would not let me rest. You talk too much, Amélie said, her voice unsteady. I will start crying and your bread will taste of salt tomorrow. Then let it, Elise said. Tears are clean. They will not harm the dough. She took Amélie's hand and slipped one ring onto her finger. This is my promise, she continued. I promise to walk beside you. Not in front of you, pulling, not behind you, hiding, beside you, in this shop, in this city, in whatever road we choose. I promise to listen when you are angry and laugh when you are foolish. I promise to remind you that you are more than a soup seller, more than a poor girl from a forgotten village. You are the person I have chosen to call home. Amélie's throat closed. Her eyes blurred. I cannot follow that, she whispered. You should have let me speak first. We have all night, Elise said gently. Say what is in your heart. That is enough. Amélie swallowed, tried, failed, and then laughed softly at herself. When you stumbled into my square, she said, I thought you were trouble. Beautiful trouble, but trouble all the same. I almost left you there. I told myself I could not afford you. I could barely afford myself. But something in your eyes would not let me walk away. It felt like looking at a mirror that showed me someone braver than I believed I was. She took the second ring and turned it between her fingers. I have lived most of my life in other people's shadows, she continued. In narrow rooms, behind stalls, bending my back so others could straighten theirs. You looked at me and did not see a servant. You saw me. No one had done that before. I did not know what to do with it. I still do not, most days. She slipped the ring onto Elise's finger. Her hand trembled. This is my promise, she said. I promise to tell you the truth, even when it is uncomfortable. Even when you glare at me like a count. I promise to argue with you when you are wrong, and to stand behind you when you are right and the world says otherwise. I promise to share every pot of soup, every loaf of bread, every coin counted at the end of the day. I promise to hold your hand in the crowd so you never feel lost again. And if you do lose yourself, I promise to go looking for you, wherever you have gone in your own mind. A tear slid down Elise's cheek. Then another. You see, she whispered. Salt. The bread tomorrow will be inedible. Good, Amélie said. Then people will know we are human and not angels pretending to bake. They both laughed through their tears. Do you want to say something together? Elise asked. Something simple? Yes, Amélie said. They leaned closer, foreheads almost touching. From this day, Elise said. From this day, Amélie repeated. We share our days, Elise said. We share our days, Amélie echoed. Our work, Elise said. Our work. Our bread, Elise said. Our bread. Our fears, Elise said. Our fears. And our joy, Elise finished. And our joy, Amélie said. Silence settled, soft and full. Outside, a late passerby paused at the window, saw two women at a table lit by candles, their hands joined. He could not hear their words, but he saw the way they looked at each other and shook his head with a small smile before walking on. Inside, Elise reached up and cupped Amélie's face with both hands. May I? She asked, voice barely above a breath. Yes, Amélie whispered. Their lips met gently. It was not a greedy kiss, not the kind sung about in taverns. It was soft and sure, the seal on a promise spoken in plain words and lived in ordinary days. Amélie felt the world grow quiet. Not empty, just quiet, as if everything outside the walls agreed to give them this moment without interruption. When they parted, they stayed close, foreheads resting together. Well, Amélie murmured, now our bread will truly rise. We have given it the secret ingredient. What is that? Elise asked, smiling. Foolishness, Amélie said, and courage, and perhaps a little too much hope. I like hope, Elise replied. It tastes better than fear. They blew out the candles together and moved through the shop, closing shutters, straightening chairs, preparing for tomorrow. In the back room, where sacks of flour stood like quiet sentinels, they made up a small bed. They could have slept apart. The rooms above the shop were larger than Amélie's old one, with room for both distance and modesty. Instead, they chose the narrow bed under the window, laughing as they bumped elbows and apologized. This feels familiar, Elise said, pulling the blanket up. Two women in a small bed. One of them unsure if she will dream of fear. Will you? Amélie asked softly. No, Elise said, her hand finding Amélie's under the blanket. Not tonight. Tonight I know exactly where I am. Where? Amélie asked, though she already knew the answer. Home, Elise whispered. Amélie closed her eyes. For the first time in a long time, she did not count coins or worries in her head. She counted days to come. Tomorrow, they would rise early, light the oven, knead dough, laugh at burnt crusts, scold each other for working too hard. Jacques would complain about the price of bread. Madame Fournier would deny liking the sweet rolls even as she bought two. The policeman would sit at the corner table on his day off, pretending not to listen to gossip while listening to all of it. And always, at the center of that small storm of life, would be the two of them, a former countess and a former street seller, a woman who had once been lost on a road and another who had decided to stop being invisible. Before sleep carried her off, Amélie squeezed Elise's hand. "Do you ever think," she murmured, "what might have happened if I had walked past you that night?" "Yes," Elise said. "Sometimes, and then I stop, because I prefer to think about what did happen instead." "What is that?" Amélie asked, words drifting. "You," Elise said. "You happened." Morning would come again. The bell over the shop door would ring, the square would fill, the sign would shine in the growing light. Bread and light. Inside, two women would move around each other with the easy grace of people who had chosen every day to stay. And for as long as their hands could knead dough and their hearts could keep stubborn rhythm, they would share their work, their bread, their fears, and their joy. Thank you so much for listening to this story all the way to the end. We hope it moved you as much as it moved us while telling it. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave us a comment telling us where you're listening from and what you liked the most. Rate this story from 0 to 10. What score would you give it? If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like as a show of support. That really motivates us to keep creating and sharing more stories full of emotion and life lessons. And before we go, we want to remind you that an exciting and heartwarming story recommendation will appear on the final screen. If you'd like to enjoy it, just click on the video. Thank you once again for being here, and we'll see you in the next story.